Okay. Well, we're excited to get back home to start the conference slate against a really good Boston College team who played their best game last week. Found their quarterback, put up yards, had a chance to win. So we're going to have a good week of practice and once again just try to correct the mistakes we made this past game. Continue to find ways to be more efficient in all three segments and see if we can come out and play as clean as game as possible and find a way to win.
Coach, BC might not be one of those teams that jumps at you on a piece of paper, but they took Florida State to the limit last week. What did you see in that game, and how are you going into this one not underestimating a team like that?
Well, you definitely, based on the last game, they can play football. They're well coached. They've made corrections over the first couple of weeks and played their best game. So that's a sign of a good football team. Like I said, I think they found their quarterback who can run around, make plays, threw for over 300 yards, ran for almost 100 yards in the last game against one of the top teams in the country. So, we'll have our hands full, and we'll have to figure out ways to be efficient, like I said, and clean things up as much as we can and find ways to score and get stops. But this will be a really good test for us.
Jeff, when you look at them on tape, their quarterback, what do you see with him, and how big is it to contain him and keep him, kind of bottled up?
Well, if you base it on the last game, he looked like a more athletic Russell Wilson. He can run around and make plays. He can throw the football. He can distribute it. He had a really good football game against a good defense. So I think that, when you have a quarterback who's playing well and confident, it really can carry the team. So, we're going to have to find ways to disrupt him and account for him in the run game as well, and challenge routes and figure out ways to get after the quarterback. So it'll be a really good test for our defense.
After 3 games, what are the primary things that you've learned about your team?
Well, the main thing is I think our guys really work hard. They're willing to fight and scrap and find a way to win. They're not afraid to look in the mirror after every game and point the finger at ourselves first and figure out what we can fix and get better. And they play to the end. So without question, nothing's been perfect, and normally never is not. But these guys understand what it takes to win. And, when you're playing really good football teams, you can try to have a perfect game and make all the plays and be clean, but that's really probably not going to happen. The other team's good too, and they're well coached. So, they're going to make plays as well. We have to find ways to make a few more plays than them and score a few more points than them. So I just think, eliminating big mistakes, the turnovers, not giving up big plays, being smart in how we play the game, all those things matter. Being efficient on special teams, all those things matter. And if you do that, then hopefully at the end you have more points than they do. But, that's what this game is about, in my opinion. The small details matter. And while you want to try to win every rep, you're not. You just have to win more than they do.
Jeff, while it hasn't been perfect and there are things to clean up, how encouraged are you by the 3-0 start to the season?
Well, we're happy that we found a way to win, and that's every week. And we try to narrow down to one game season and not worry about anything else. And whether you win or lose, you got to come back the next week and find a way to win. It's just a matter of sometimes after a win, are you going to relax too much and pat yourself on the back, or are you going to be hungry and find a way to get better? And sometimes after a loss, you know what, you normally, if you don't hang your head and feel sorry for yourself, you're going to work hard to find a way to get better. So we have to be hungry this week and understand that in order to win conference football games, we have to try to play our best football every week and make improvements.
When you look back at Saturday, it seemed like Jack had maybe a step forward, another really good step forward in one of his better games. Did you see that? I mean, I know he made some mistakes, like you said, but did you see that he made improvement?
I think so. I think Jack really works hard. He wants to win. He's a good leader. In today's age of football, there's going to be some plays that maybe aren't going to be open, or a receiver's going to slip and fall, or maybe somebody's going to miss a block, and you have to be able to make some plays with your feet. And you can't call the perfect play and get perfect execution every time. In order to do that, you have to be smart with the football and learned when to tuck it and run and buy some time to allow some guys to get open. I thought he did a much better job of that. He's got to get us some yards in the running game. Before every game, I go up and tell them, hey, 2 to 5 times a game, you're going to have to tuck the ball and run on a pass play. We'll give you a few other runs, but on a pass play, you're going to have to tuck it and run. And if it's cleaner than that, great. We've played a tremendous game, but it's normally not going to be. So I think he was able to use his feet. It gets him in a better rhythm as well, in my opinion. He made some good throws. We had probably a few more drops than we like to, but he can continue to work on throwing with conviction, standing in there, throwing it on time, and then when things aren't there, he's got to be decisive enough and willing to run the football and get yards.
Jeff, right now, obviously still early in the season, but Jawar is, top 10, 20 statistically in the country in a couple of different areas, obviously averaging over 100 yards a game. I guess, has there been a player that you can maybe compare him to that you've coached, and how does that just kind of help you to, continue with him and his improvement?
Well, Jawar works really hard, is very humble, really good teammate. He's a little nicked up last week in practice, didn't practice as much, so he came out and gutted it out and played a really good football game. He's very talented, elusive with the ball, but yet he'll lower his pads and run. I think we got a good running back room. He knows that as well, where there's other running backs that we feel confident spreading the wealth to a little bit and giving them the ball and taking a little pressure off him. But, those are guys that need to touch the ball. So, whether it's by air or putting it right in their gut for the run play, we have to allow them to run and go make plays. And Jawar stood out last week as one of those guys. Maurice had a couple good runs. Isaac runs hard. That room has done a good job. They take care of the ball. They haven't fumbled. Our O-line has come off the ball and knocked some people back. And in order to be a good football team, a high-caliber team, you have to be good at both passing and running. And that doesn't mean it's got to be perfectly balanced, but if a defense is going to test you and make you throw the ball, you got to be good at throwing it. And if a team's going to play the pass and play coverage, you got to be good at running it. So I think we've made some progress at getting efficient at both, and we're going to need both of those components to be really good moving forward, and that means making plays in the passing game, getting more guys to make plays in the passing game, spreading the ball around in that, and then continuing to be sound and solid in the running game.
Yep, obviously the safety positions have got nicked up, as we know, but you've got two guys that seemingly have stepped up, done the next man up mentality, and performed well. Your thoughts on how Devin and Cam have performed, and in addition, how's Josh, D'Angelo? Is that depth chart starting to fill back in?
Well, we have suffered some early losses there as far as injury-wise, which is going to happen every year. Luckily, we built some depth up in the defensive backfield, and it's come to really help us because those guys have had to step up. Devin Neal has played football. He gives everything he's got. He's tough. He understands the game. He's from in-state here. He wants to win. He gives us great effort every game. Cam Kelly has transferred in. He got here late, so learning and getting up to speed took a little longer than you would like, but now that he's getting back in the groove, he's done a good job. I think Josh Minkins was probably close enough to play if we needed him, but we were able to give him one more week of rest, so I expect him to be fully healthy, or at least close to it. And then D'Angelo had been out for a while. We got him in towards the end of last week in practice, and he did some good things, and the little bit he was in there, he did a good job. So he needs to continue to get even healthier and be a big part of that, because we do need some depth, and we need a little bit of a rotation there and keep those guys hungry and fresh. But, yes, that position health-wise hopefully will be a little better this week.
Jeff, you compare the BC quarterback to a more athletic Russell Wilson. Isn't that kind of comparing him to a young Jeff Brohm?
Yeah. That's your comment. I do appreciate that. But you know what? Everybody has their own unique style. This guy has got some strength to him when he runs the ball. You know what? He's playing with a lot of confidence to put up those numbers against Florida State when they're probably one of the hottest teams in the country. That's impressive. And I think when a team sees their quarterback play well and play confident, it really juices up the rest of the team. And I think that's what you saw. You saw a team that had some fight. They took Florida State right down to the wire, had a chance to win it, and I think they'll continue to build off that. So that's why it's a concern to us, is that we have to try to contain him better. We have to try to limit the yards he puts up. We have to do things to make him feel comfortable, and that's what we're going to have to figure out this week and plan accordingly. Is that he cannot play that efficient against us, or we'll have a long day.
You guys
Already in the top 10 for yards per play and available yards. With how early it is in the season and how efficient it's been going, what's made some of these guys who are running this offense for the first time so comfortable this early?
Well, our guys work hard. It's important that we continue to find ways to get big plays. I think if you want to win football games, you have to find ways to get big plays, and that's either in the passing game or running game. It's either by great individual play or it's by great design that gives those guys a chance to get open and make those plays. So, being good at running the ball, having play action off of it to take shots and hit them, and then being efficient in the controlled passing game is all vital to success. And I think we have all those elements. We work it a lot. We got to just continue to be as efficient as we can, because it's going to be important that long drives and scoring is hard to do. You got to find a way to do it. But as many times as we can get quicker points within the realm of the offense, the better off we'll be. And I think we built a good lead in the first half. Unfortunately, had the onside kick that kind of got the momentum back for them. They scored right after it, and then they kind of took off from there. But we need to just make sure that for 4 quarters we're playing as efficient as we can.
Jeff, excuse me, 3 games in, a lot of the pressure you guys have been sending from the defensive line hasn't been getting home and into the backfield, and you guys haven't generated a ton of sacks and tackles for loss early in the season. Why do you think that is, and how concerning is that?
Well, we look at it every week, and you have to have the right balance of pressure and all-out pressure and one-man pressures and two-man pressures and being able to cover and all those things. So we'll continue to look at it. Yes, we want to try to create more pressure and sacks. That's important to us. In the end, the bottom line is winning and keeping points and down and yards down. We had a couple chances in the backfield that didn't land the last game, so we need to figure out, how can we help that do a better job. I think if you look at us, even on offense, we gave up 2 sacks, and they really were coverage sacks. It wasn't because they brought pressure. They just covered guys long enough that we had to hold the ball. So having that perfect combination of bringing heat and pressure, and also, all right, how can we maybe lock things up better and cover tighter on certain situations to allow some more time to get in there. So that's the balance you have to have. But, yes, we're going to look hard again at how can we create more pressure and sacks and affect the quarterback. And that'll always be something we look at every week.
You said when you win, you have to stay hungry. When you lose, you can't hang your head. Your team is 3-0. People saying good things about them. So maintaining the hungriness is what you're working at. As a coach, what have you learned through the years on how you maintain that hungriness when your team is doing well?
Well, I think that's one of our strengths. We try to coach the same every week, whether you win or lose. I think that you have to, and in my opinion, at least we do, we treat everything as a one-game season. I know that sounds dull and boring, but you have to think that way because you can really look down the road too much as a player. I know fans do, which is great and fine and fun, and we love it. But for a player, you can't look down the road. You're going to get distracted. You're going to either feel too good about where you could be going because you played a good game, or you're going to feel really bad about, my gosh, we have such a long hill to climb up here, and can really affect your work ethic. So because of that, you know what, you just have to erase the last game and the previous games and obviously make corrections, but you got to work hard to win, and you got to just say, hey, we got to go figure out a way to win this game, period. And you give everything you got, coaches, players, and you lay it on the line, you play to the end, you stay the moment, you stay aggressive as you can, and then you hope that at the end of the game you have more points than they do. Now, when that's over, whether you win or lose, you're going to have a few people pat you on the back, or a few people tell you that you're not very good and you should have done this better, and you got to just block it out. And you got to understand every week is a new challenge. Every team you play is competitive. Every team you play is a chance to win. If we don't play our best, or we're not improving every week, we're not going to get to where we want to go. So I just think us coming to work every day, working with our guys, having a smile on our face at times and know when to push them and motivate them is always important, and you just kind of have to stay locked in on that. I've been on numerous teams where we've started not the way you wanted. We found a way to move back up the ladder. Last year we started 1-2 at Purdue and found a way to get to the Big Ten championship game. So, and that happens all the time. And I was at the University of Illinois my last year there as an assistant. We started 6-0 in the top 20. We lost our next 6. So that's how the season can go. And if you're not treating it as a one-game season, as a player internally, the games probably won't go in your favor if you can't keep that mindset.
First game was a Thursday at home, was a Thursday night game. Great atmosphere. Now you get Saturday. I know that the landscape has changed with the portal and all, but you'll have some recruits here. And for that, your recruiting staff, how big is it to get kids here during games?
Well, it's always great to have them here during games. It's great for them to see the great setup we have here, the stadium, the fan support. This is an NFL-style stadium with everything you need and more. And then, of course, winning is what matters as well. So all those things tie together. We got to continue to press forward, figure out a way to win this game. And I just think if you can, build up those things weekly and stack them up and try to, pick things back up when you take a misstep, then that recruiting matters even more. But like everything, winning is the main thing that we're trying to do here, and will help every aspect of recruiting if we can win football games.
Just kind of noticed I don't think that was there last week. The sack stick up there, is that kind of the new incentive now for the guys a little bit?
Well, we have all kinds of little things we like to do, but sacks are important. I know it's talked about a lot, and we're looking at it again. But I think always test his coaches is, let's how can we get more pressure, or how can we cover better? It's because it kind of works both ways, just like I said before. But we want our guys, negative plays, tackles for loss, sacks can really, change the whole outlook of someone's drive. And normally you can get off the field and give the ball to the other team. Last week we only had 10 drives on offense. So every drive matters now, especially with the change in the clock a little bit. So, any negative plays we can get, we're going to work hard to get. Okay, thank you.